Right, it is past 3 o'clock, so I think we had better get started. So this is a presentation of the Bachelor of Arts in English and Applied Linguistics in the Department of English at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Hans Ladegaard and I'm the head of the English department. And I'd like to introduce my colleagues with me here this afternoon. Dr. Dennis Tay is the program leader of the program that we'll be presenting. So he will talk about the program later. Catherine Law is our marketing and promotion manager, who is also with us this afternoon. And then we have two students, or rather one former student and one current student with us. So we have Alice, who is a year 4 student, who is going to talk to you about her experiences of the program. And we have one of our graduates, Gwyneth, who graduated 2 years ago, and she'll be talking about life after university and what that has entailed for her. So again, a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us in this presentation session about the Bachelor of Arts in English and Applied Linguistics at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. JUPAS code JS3832. So first slide, please. So this is us, the Department of English, 24 academic staff, 2 postdoc fellows, 13 research staff, 17 research students, and 14 support staff. We are, I believe, and this is what we hear from our students again and again, a very friendly group of people. Everybody is very happy to help and support you in your learning. So I think this is a nice place to be and a friendly place to study. So next slide, please. So our mission is to provide linguistic excellence in professional context. So we are interested in how language and communication are used in a range of professional contexts and equip our students to excel in these professional contexts after they graduate. Next slide, please. What our colleagues teach in the department is also what they do research in. So the teaching we provide is research-based. So colleagues talk about the research they do, which I think not only is a more rewarding experience for the students, but it also provides you with up-to-date knowledge of the newest discoveries, the newest research that's been published in any given area. So research informs teaching and teaching informs research. Next slide, please. We have 5 research areas in the department, so colleagues will do their research and teaching in one of these 5 areas. Language and professional communication is an important area for our colleagues. It includes everything from doing research in business contexts, which I have been doing among many others. I look particularly at intercultural issues in business context, for example. I look at the difference between male and female leaders in business organizations, for example. We also have a group of colleagues who look at professional communication in hospital settings. So we have people working with doctors and nurses and other health providers in hospitals. We have colleagues like Dennis Tay working with counseling, how psychologists, counselors provide service to their clients in counseling sessions. And in the next research area, language teaching and learning, colleagues focus on how language is taught and how language is learned. This increasingly involves new technology. So how colleagues are using, how teachers are using new technology in teaching and learning. But also everything from the use of gesture in classroom teaching to how students learn vocabulary or grammar or phonetic and phonological features, etc. In the next research area, linguistics, English language and systemic functional linguistics, we have a group of colleagues who work particularly with more traditional linguistics topics like syntax, morphology, semantics, grammar, or phonetics and phonology. Also very interesting research going on there. One of the colleagues in the department that I'm working with at the moment is doing an analysis of Hong Kong English and how Hong Kong English is being perceived and what particular teachers of English in Hong Kong notice about Hong Kong English and the phonology, the sound system of Hong Kong English, and what they like about it and what they don't like about it. Communication and media is an increasingly important research area where so many people spend so much time online, on social media, for example. So we have an increasing number of our colleagues who are doing research in this important area. This also involves research on artificial intelligence and big data, which some of our colleagues are doing. And finally, we have colleagues engaged in area studies and intercultural communication. Area studies, in our case, is particularly Europe, because we teach European languages and culture. So we teach French, German, and Spanish. And we have 2 minor programs, one in European studies and one in Spanish, where some of that research is also being presented. Intercultural communication, as I said, is one of my own research interests, where we look at how culture impacts how people from diverse cultural backgrounds communicate with each other in business context and in classroom context. Next slide, please. So although ranking is not everything, and although we should be careful about bragging, then let me do just a little bit of bragging, because we are quite proud about the rankings that we have received recently in the most recent QS ranking, which is a ranking system that ranks the most influential universities in the world based on their research, based on their student population, based on their reputation, citations, research output, etc. So in that latest ranking, PolyU ranked 75 in the world, and linguistics, which we are part of, ranked 45. So if you come to PolyU and do a degree in English and Applied Linguistics, you also will be part of a team of scholars who have been ranked as some of the best in the world. Next slide, please. So this is an example of some of our colleagues that have been honored recently for best research performance in the faculty, or best teaching in the faculty or even in the university. And we also have a colleague who was recently awarded the best teacher in Hong Kong by the University Grants Committee. And this is some of the research that we have published recently. We do publish a lot. Here is a range of books that have been published recently by English department colleagues with a range of different areas, from speech and language therapy, speech disorders, to migration, language and migration, migrant workers, to discourse analysis, the social meaning of language, dialect, and accent, prosody, and discourse in public speaking. And finally, here are some of our students who have been honored recently, and you can see we've been very fortunate having very good students, because in 2017 we got the Best PolyU Student Award. In 2018, we got the Best Faculty Award, and also again in 2019, the Best Faculty Award. So English department students are doing very well. So now it's time to hand over to Dennis to talk more about the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hans, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Tay. I'm the program leader of the program that you see before you, BA in English and Applied Linguistics, or BAEAL. So we just recently renamed ourselves. We used to be called BAESP, BA in English Studies for the Professions. And recently we renamed ourselves in response to both student and employer feedback in terms of giving our program a more prominent and a sharper focus on of our expertise, as Hans previously introduced. Right, so we are a 4-year full-time English major degree program, and very soon we will be endorsed by the EDB of Hong Kong, which means that actually our graduates are directly recognized by the EDB if they were to become language teachers. Of course, there are a range of other options for them as well. Later on, Alice, one of our students who received this very prestigious scholarship for English teachers from the EDB, will tell us a bit more about her career aspirations. But as you can see, besides EDB scholarships that our students compete in, there are also a diverse range of other scholarships, including but not limited to the Faculty of Humanities Entry Scholarship for outstanding HKDSE students, like some of you in the audience. As you can see, it's very attractive. And besides these, there are also many other scholarships offered by PolyU. So financial difficulties is hardly a problem for our students. We believe in investing in talent as long as they're good. Next slide. Right, so in terms of our program curriculum, we emphasize 3 focal areas. And these focal areas are all very important and key areas that define what it means to be a proficient communicator, a proficient linguist, a proficient linguistics graduate expert in English. So we teach our students in terms of 3 broad areas called language sciences, global communicative competence, and English for the professions. So language sciences are intended for those of you who might be more theoretically oriented. You are interested in the theoretical aspects of language use, processing, and so on and so forth. And you might aspire towards, for instance, a future career in research or academia. So we teach students not only in the traditional areas like phonology, syntax, semantics, and so on. We also teach students in the cutting edge areas that are in high demand in the digital economy in tomorrow's world, in fact, in today's world. So including language, data analytics, and programming with R, Python, and things, and so on and so forth. Global communicative competence is also something very critical in today's world, where we train our students in terms of the interactions with other global languages and cultures. We have a very robust European Studies minor program. We teach students European languages like Spanish, German, French. Of course, being in Hong Kong, Chinese is very important. We also have courses in English and Chinese, academic, slant, technical writing, and of course also the interaction between these, intercultural communication. And finally, we also have a focal area of English for the professions, which, as Hans previously introduced, training students specifically in order to meet the industry needs of different professional contexts like business, healthcare, and so on and so forth. And our students also benefit tremendously from this focal area. Next slide, please. Okay, study options. And I would like to remind you, because of the limited time, I can only say so much today, but we have actually a Q&A room devoted to answering your specific questions that is open from 12 to 4 p.m. So in any event, if you need specific details, you are free to visit those rooms. And for now, I can give you a broad overview that our students enjoy one of 3 study options. So option 1 is like the traditional option, where you have a single discipline major, you graduate with an English degree, right? And you also have room to pursue electives from other disciplines. Up to you to customize your experience, right? Option 2 is like also very popular, major and minor. So you do major in English, but you also specialize in a secondary area. For instance, some of our students have a minor in, let's say, Korean, minor in marketing, minor in psychology, minor in social policy. All these programs are offered by PolyU and are very beneficial for our students. The last option for those who are ambitious, the most academically demanding as well, is a double major option. So essentially this means you graduate with 2 degrees. So there is a lot more work involved, but at the same time, it is a rewarding experience. And for us, you can choose to double major in both English as well as Chinese in the Department of Chinese and Bilingual Studies, which is our sister department. So all these 3 options are available for prospective students. Next slide, please. Okay, in PolyU, we believe in holistic education. So it's not just about learning inside the classroom. There are ample opportunities for learning outside the classroom. So these pictures illustrate the 3 broad areas of our all-rounded curriculum, which are international exchange, service learning, and WIE, which is called, stands for Work Integrated Education. This is PolyU's term for basically internship, right? So all these elements are crucial in PolyU's education and curricular system. So as you can see, for instance, international exchange, right? Our students, including Gwyneth, who will be talking to you later about her opportunities to explore different cultures, different countries, even partly subsidized by PolyU, right? And then the other thing I was talking about, service learning, is where it is compulsory for PolyU students to apply what they learn in the classroom in service of society. So giving back to society, benefiting the underprivileged sections of society even before they graduate to acquire some valuable life experiences. So our students usually, for instance, a popular option is to teach English to ethnic minorities Also, to our friends in mainland China, as you can see, all these things are a valuable part of our experience. And finally, WIE, which is internship. So our students often get offers from reputable international organizations, as you can see, Prada, Singapore Airlines, and so on and so forth. These are all our students who really learn a lot about real-life working experience even before they graduate. So if you come to PolyU, you are guaranteed these experiences. Next slide. Okay, so some statistics to show you, to give you a rough idea of where you might possibly stand in this program. So this is the latest score. 20.6 is last year's average DSE score of students who were admitted to our program. So as you can see, there's a slight dip over the past years, and this dip was kind of a common across a lot of programs as well. So last year our average score is 20.6, and this is calculated on the basis of your Chinese score, your English score, plus combination of any best 3 elective subjects, right? So we consider it holistically. So, you have to pass your Chinese and English, but at the same time, it is the overall score that is of primary importance when evaluating your suitability for the program. So this is purely for reference. Next slide. Right, so speaking of, performance, right? So something on the top of many people's minds are the career prospects of our students. So our students actually enjoy a wide range of career prospects. So it might be intuitive to assume that, most English majors become language teachers, but that's far from the case. As you can see, this is a wide profile. Our students not only become teachers, which is of course a very popular and good option, but they also pursue fruitful careers in things like corporate communication, HR, PR, advertising, translation, tourist management, civil service, marketing, law, entrepreneurship, and the list goes on. So our students are well sought after, as you can see from the next slide, where we showcase some more concrete figures. So this is like an infographic we produced recently to kind of like showcase the fact that our graduates actually enjoy an above average starting monthly salary, and this is taking the mean of all Hong Kong graduates as well as the mean of PolyU graduates. So our graduates actually go above the mean of these two things, right? So about 17K, as you can see, and also a very high employment rate. Most of our students secure employment within months of their graduation. So this is like a campus-wide survey PolyU does to make sure that programs produce excellent graduates, as we do. Next slide. Okay, so some more infographics for your reference. So these are just some of the top careers by both earning capacity as well as by numbers, employment sectors. So as you can see, a lot of our students go into management, teaching, research, creative work, education, real estate, and telecommunications, transport, and things like that. So again, many doors are open for you when you pursue an education with us. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so there's only time today to say so much. So a lot of information that you might be interested in can be found on our department website. As you see, you can just Google PolyU ENGL, it will be at the top of the list. So a lot more information is available should you require it on our website. And also the same goes for many of our social media channels. So our colleagues, our students are very actively engaged in keeping the rest of the world updated about our latest research, our latest initiatives and things like that. So these are some of our social media channels that you are free to follow. Right, so just a quick advertisement. So actually, speaking of engagement, so in our bid to continuously engage with the community, we are actually organizing this upcoming workshop series just for secondary school students. It's going to be called Communication Around You. It's free to register. So from October to December onwards, every month, and also foreseeably in the months following that, right? One of our colleagues will be giving a talk, right, aimed at introducing secondary school students to the fascinating world of applied linguistics and English. Each of our colleagues will share their expertise in a different area. As you can see, actually, I'm going to be the first speaker. I will talk about my research in language and psychology, and then Renia and Phoebe will talk respectively about their expertise as well. So this is an excellent opportunity, not just to learn about linguistics, but also to potentially learn more about our teachers and our program. So please register. The link can be found here, and you can go to our department website, click on News Events, Other Events, and you can register for absolutely free. Right, next slide. right? So again, time is short today, but if you have further inquiries after today's talk, feel free to write to me or to my colleague, Zoe Mark, in the following email addresses. We are more than happy to address any questions you may have after today. Right, I believe that is all from me, right? So thank you for your attention. I'll pass it on to Alice now to talk about her experiences as a student. Alice?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tay and Dr. Hans. So let me share the screen first. Okay, so good afternoon, guys. So this is Alice. So I'm currently a year 4 student majoring in English, and I'm minored in psychology. So this is my profile. I'm currently an awardee of scholarship for prospective English teacher of the EDB. So please be aware that because our program is called the BASP, but from the next academic year, it will be called the BAEAL in English and Applied Linguistics. So please be careful. Okay, so why English major at PolyU? So there are mainly 3 reasons. So the first one is that I'm passionate in learning English, and the second one is that I'm enthralled by intercultural communication, and the third one would be I think the program actually raises my cultural sensitivities and humanistic senses. So you may ask, like, what kind of subject actually intrigued me, or which would probably intrigue you? So I would think it is called the ENGL 2005, which is called the English Lexis and Semantics. So you may ask, what is semantics? Semantics actually means the meaning of words. Okay, so we actually know what is man and woman, but how can we describe that? We can actually find the discrepancies between man and woman through writing all these points. For example, we describe man and women like human being as tangible and concrete and animate. So we can only distinguish 2 words or 2 meanings through writing different symbols, plus or minus. So you may ask, what is actually called semantics, or what is tantamount to semantics? Actually, semantic means connotations, definitions, explanations, or even like denotations or meanings. So you will learn different kinds of ways to describe a word or a language in our course. I think this course actually gave me an in-depth understanding of lexical acquisition of children, especially if you want to be a teacher in the future. It also developed my knowledge of morphologies and semantics. For example, if you're interested in teaching primary school students, then you better have to learn how young children acquire lexems or like words. For example, some kids, they will learn their first word also at around 1 year old or so. So what kinds of words will they learn, or will they articulate? That could be probably be like actions or people saying like a mama or dada, or some social words called like bye bye and tata. So I think these words are very interesting for me if I could like know more about this and have a better grasp of English lexis and semantics. So I think the knowledge I acquired can actually be applied in real world context. For example, when I in my delivery or in my English education classes. Okay, so if you want to have a more sophisticated understanding of language acquisitions, then you could opt for ENGL 4013, which is called the Language Acquisitions and Psycholinguistics. Like through this course, we can actually understand the mechanisms underlying the first and second language acquisition. Like to us, that could probably be Cantonese or English. So through understanding the language acquisition, the process, we could know the causes and symptoms of language disorder. For example, like stuttering. Okay, so if you have taken like biologies in your high school, then you could probably know that like how can we articulate words, or how can we process the words? Is it actually like by our brain? Somehow it is like somehow you will have a dominant brain. For example, like your left brain or right brain, which one is more dominant? That you can have your test and then to figure it out. For example, in temporal lobe, we can actually understand language better and process language through this particular area in our brain. So despite all those academic issues or what, I did enjoy my university life very well, and I did various kinds of internships, and there are two highlights. So the first one is the internships I did last year, which is in Auckland, New Zealand, and the second one will be a voluntary teaching trips in Hainan. So let me introduce some of the highlights. So this is the first one. I did my internship in Auckland, New Zealand, which is at a school called the Pekaranga College, and my position was a TA, that means teaching assistant. And I am very grateful that I did got various chances to learn different kinds of things. For example, with regards to my academic enrichment, I did boost my pedagogical knowledge. For example, I got chances to probe into the L1 learners learning materials, and I did understand students' needs in language acquisition, like their genuine needs or their learning difficulties. And I got chances to get along with students from diverse cultural background, because as you know, New Zealand is just like a melting pot, like students from different ethnicities or nationalities. So you could see that we did get along very well. And I also experienced the New Zealand teaching styles through in-class observations, and I did gain various kinds of input opportunities in my internship. For example, I got chances to taught ESOL classes for year 9 to 12 students. Moreover, I also tutor students with special educational needs, for example, like ADHD, attention deficits, hyperactivity disorders, and some other, like, for example, depressions and anxieties. And I did steal myself into a more empathetic person and prospective teacher, so that I could reassure my students better in my future. Besides having all the works and academic enrichments, I did my cultural explorations, and I did appreciate the diverse cultures in New Zealand. And I learned a lot about the Maori culture, the local culture in New Zealand, that boost my cultural sensitivities. And thank you for my host families. They cooked a lot for me, and I did enjoy palatable cuisines in my host family, like the fish and chips. And there is a special sauce called onion dip, which is very tasty, I would say. And I was also impressed by New Zealand's people's dedications in environmental conservation. For example, this is the Cathedral Cove, and this is the Maui museums. And it actually did broaden my horizons, and I did some reflections as well. So when I was year 1, and during my year 1 winter break, I actually went to Hainan, which is an teaching trip held by PolyU Heartfire, Sampo Hangchi. And I was responsible to be a secondary school English teacher at the time. So you could see that Hainan is a really beautiful fishing village, and we did get along very well with the children, and we took lots of selfies, and we played hide and seek, and we did enjoy every blissful moment during our stay. And I was very grateful to have such experience. If you join our program, you can actually have a lot of chances, input chances to gain opportunities like internships, cultural trips, and some exchange programs, and even some voluntary teaching trips, which means sometimes service learning or what. So you can see that I did deliver to my class through in front of the stage, on stage. So I taught some English through sharing some video clips like the Ratatouille, the Rat, and through some Disney films, so as to arouse their interest. And we did also hold something like 大哥哥大姐姐信箱, so that they could actually write letters to us, and then we would reply letters to them to share their emotions, whether they feel disappointed or sad. They could actually told us. Okay, so we did had a vacation, went on vacations at that time. So you can see we did enjoy our internships and enjoyed our study during PolyU. So if you're interested to be an English professions, if you want to hone your English or steal yourself into a more competent English users, for example, be in the marketing sectors or even in the educational sectors, so you can apply for our program. So for me, after graduation, my career aspiration will be, I hope that I could be competent secondary school English teachers. So now alumni will share her smart career choice with you guys. So thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Gwyneth. So after hearing Alice share that she aspired to be a teacher, most of you might wonder what kind of career path you could take after you graduate from this department. So I didn't want to be a teacher, and I can show you what are other options. So I graduated from this department 2 years ago, and I am now working as a research assistant in this department. So I'm going to share with you how ENGL prepared me during my undergraduate study. So because I was an English student, I learned to write business proposal, I get to learn public speaking, and so that a lot of students from different departments actually want to team up with students from Department of English because we have the advantage to know how to write proposal, how to go for interviews. And so that I went to Germany for 2 weeks where we received fundings. It was fully covered by PolyU to go to Germany where we collaborate with the local students as well as the NGOs there. So a lot of this outreaching project requires you to do communication, public speakings, and also you need to learn how to work with people from different backgrounds. And in this experience, I learned how to work with students from Germany, and they have a really different working style than people in Hong Kong. And in the final year, I was chosen to be one of the student journalists to write a book about service learning in PolyU. And that was a big project. I had to work with 4 students from Brown University, where we go to Vietnam and Cambodia, and we have to interview locals, interview the professors, and we have to collect qualitative research data, and then we have to compile it into a book. So I'm going to show you what are the future after you finish this program. So for me, I gain a lot from this program. I have confidence in public speaking. I was also inspired and motivated to do more research on my own because I learned a research method here. And also, I was confident because I already got used to the intercultural communicative background here. So I went to Germany, Bremen, for 2 years, and I did a master program in international relations. And I have classmates from all over the world. It was very diverse. You have people from the Middle East, you have people from Southeast Asia, you have people from Europe. And that requires your English skills a lot. Not only the speaking skills, but also research, because when you are a master's student, you are expected to conduct research on your own. And because we have this capstone program in this department, I have already learned how to do research, how to collect data from survey and interview, and also how to run quantitative data. And therefore, I didn't feel really stressful when I was in Germany doing presentations. And for academic background, academic writing aspect, in my thesis during Department of English, I wrote on the vocabulary acquisitions, and I did an experience and survey completely on my own with the help of supervisor, where I have to interview 30 people. And that was really interesting because it was something I wanted to do. It was something I was interested in how people learn German language. And PolyU gave you that environment. They give you the opportunity to do so. All the materials, resources are on here. And then that helped me to write my thesis in my master program. That helped me because I already know quantitative and qualitative research, and I already know what kind of sources to include, how to make it more credible. So that made it easy for me. And when I was in Germany, I was chosen to be one of the editor on this key issue journal. And it's a very, it's a student-initiated project where we collect data and journal published by students who wish to be published in Germany. And it's social science-based, but my job was to proofread them, to organize them in a clear structure, in a structure that you can publish it to the journal. And that was a really fun experience I had. And because of the experience of doing research in PolyU, I was also had a chance to work in Germany, where I worked at the Bremen International Graduate School of Social Science, where I was helping a German professor to do social science research, because I have to talk to the people to get qualitative research. I have to also analyze data on computer, and that requires quantitative research skills. So these are some of the things I learned during writing thesis at PolyU, where we have to collect data. So my professor told me how to run JSP, how to write SPSS, and those were really confusing at first, but it was very beneficial when I wanted to move forward and advance it to something that I was more interested in. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to English. It can be anything, any area that you're interested in. So if I have to put everything in short and just give your personal tip as a graduate, you have so many opportunities here that you can explore your interests here. I have friends that are working at bank. I have friends that are teaching at international school. And for me, I wasn't interested in being a teacher, so I become a researcher. I can still research things I'm interested in with the sources here. And also, when you are a student here, there are so many international exposure opportunities, and you don't have to worry about the financial aspect because the school are very supportive. They support you. I went to Germany, I went to Czech Republic. So just look out for international exposures.
Right. So that is the end of our presentation. So now I think we have some time for questions and answers. So please feel free to ask us any questions either via the chat box or if you want to speak through the microphone, please feel free.